It is Monday, August 13th, 2018. It is 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and so you know what time it is. It's time for a little bit of coin metal. And what a fucked up weekend we've had, and continuing into the week, it seems. Crypto's been taking a bit of a hit in the dick. And those of you who are on real short-term plays are watching that nail biting like crazy. I'm sure there's a fucking pile of half your fingers where you just like chewed off the fingernail and kept going. But yeah, dude, it's a lot of pain out there. A lot of pain. I feel ya. I mean, as most of my earnings and liquid whatever is in crypto right now, I feel you 100%, man. But these things are going to happen. You know, you don't get to play in the garden of 500% runs without significant losses as well. You know, it's just it fucking happens. And it's really funny to me, you know, it's like this far into the game, you know, this far along, we still have people who have no idea what causes the rate of inflation between U.S. dollars, or not the rate of inflation, but the raise in price of Bitcoin in U.S. dollars. And I've summarized it very, very quickly. It's fiat inflation. And we know this because when we look at other places on the planet, you know, like Venezuela or Somalia or Zimbabwe or any place that's going through any significant economic crisis, which is more or less everywhere at this point, although it's still not really materializing as such here in the U.S. It seems like us in the speculative zones are the ones that are getting pounded the hardest. But the point being is, if you go to like Zimbabwe, the last time that we had a really big upward thrust in price, Bitcoin, when it was around, I want to say it was either $2,000 or $3,000 here, it was running anywhere from $6,000 to $8,000 US equivalent in Zimbabwe. So, you know, I think that when you look at those differences in prices, it's going to be harder and harder, I think, for us here in the United States, at least, to be getting a hold of that precious Bitcoin. Because there's going to be places elsewhere where they can get a lot more for it. And I don't know, I think if miners really start taking advantage of that arbitrage, you know, shopping around for markets to decide where to put their Bitcoin, I think that'll change the price quite a bit. But anyway, we still get these people talking about like ETFs and, oh my god, is the ETF going to impact Bitcoin? No. You know what? You know why? Because the ETF is going to be on an ETF market. It's going to be traded by exchanges. It's an exchange-traded fund. So, as far as how that's going to impact the price of Bitcoin on the streets of Venezuela, I don't think it's going to make it any cheaper for them. You know, and that being said, there's only going to be so much Bitcoin. Only so many people are going to have their Bitcoin. And, yeah, there may be a time sometime in the future when all of these exchanges experience a nice settling moment where everybody decides to withdraw their Bitcoin, and we find out who really has what. You know, who's running a fractional reserve. I mean, we just saw that with what is it, OKX or something like that, where they had some major whale liquidator or some shit like that. Anyway, he took a lot of fucking money, a lot of their money, and it hurt everybody else. They actually, how should I say this? There's a word for it where they made the debt kind of, they socialized the debt. So everybody that made money, they kind of nicked everybody for it. But the point being is it demonstrated that they're operating on a fractional reserve. They do not have the funds to back up just the trades that other people are making, And when I first heard about leveraged trading of Bitcoin, I knew immediately that was just not a good idea. Not for traders, not for exchanges. There's already the temptation to run as a fractional reserve. There's even a bigger temptation to do so when there's a really good possibility that you're going to win against the trader. So, yeah. Anywho, let's go ahead and throw down into some music. And I was going to go with Anthrax because they're right there on the top. But I feel like I do that too much. And we're not going to go with Body Count as much as I really want to. Apparently they've got a video out for the ski mask way. Hopefully it's a bunch of crypto traders. Just like ganking all your shit. Anyway, as far as what to put down, that's the question. Well, no. I'm trying to find a really good first dance for us. Here we go. Prong. Steady decline. For all of you hodlers and those suffering at least immediate losses in hopes for longer term gains. So here we go. Steady decline by Prong. First dance. Here on Coin Metal. And that was KMFDM with Brute. And I'm sure some of y'all are feeling a little brutalized out there these days, but take heart. Things do change. They most certainly do. Anywho, let's get into it. I'm trying to arrange my mic stand the best way I can here, and it seems to be giving me some issue. Which I don't understand. Oh, there we go. And my bass is slipping a little bit. But, I wrenched this thing around enough. Crypto is, after all, a full contact sport. And sometimes our hardware gets a little abused in the process, Anywho, yeah, I got plenty of tabs open, but I hadn't really figured on an actual design for how I wanted to go about this show today. Where was the one? I had one on here. Here we go. This one caught my eye because it was along the lines that we were talking about earlier with Zimbabwe and the differential due to their fiat inflation and how it's much worse within their borders because they have all kinds of weird restrictions on the internet and they don't have as many options as far as where to buy Bitcoin as we do. So that does have an impact on price, supply that is. Anyway, I got this article here on Bitcoinist.com. Quote, "We couldn't get any foreign currency. Turkey's capital controls show why Bitcoin exists." And this is by Wilma Wu, August 13th, 2018, 1500 hours. No indication of time zone. Shame on you, Wilma. No penis. Turkey introducing capital controls to stem the impact of its currency crisis means traders can expect higher Bitcoin prices on local exchanges, a well-known online commentator has suggested. Expect price premium. Tweeting August 13th, Bambao Club eyed spreads on P2P platform Local Bitcoins, forecasting buy and sell asks to increasingly diverge as the country's economic situation worsens. Quote, with capital controls being introduced in Turkey, expect a black market for hard currency to develop, which will be reflected in a premium in Bitcoin prices in Turkey, he commented. Turkey has, quote, de facto introduced capital controls on foreign currency purchases. Local businesses and wider media sources are reporting Monday after President Tayyip Erdogan called on residents to convert their forex holdings into lira. How about fuck off? Quote, we couldn't get any foreign currency out yesterday. We wanted to take out $50,000, but they directly said no, one consumer told Bloomberg. We couldn't carry out an electronics fund transfer either. Exchange volumes surge. Attention is now focusing on the impact of the lira collapse on foreign markets, with both developing economy currencies and neighbors such as the Eurozone coming in for increasing exposure. As Bitcoin is reported over the weekend, lira volatility over the past 7 days has eclipsed Bitcoin's, while consumer interest in Bitcoin peaked this month, according to data from Google Trends. At press time, local Bitcoin's listings had not significantly diverged from implied lira prices per Bitcoin based on USD rates. Nonetheless, data from CoinMarketCap, which has since made mainstream press headlines, shows local exchange platforms have seen volumes expand rapidly. Coinem, for example, saw a 155% increase over the past 7 days. Consumer interest comes despite the official shunning of cryptocurrencies at the state level, with government sources last year claiming they did not fit in with Islam. Despite the moral status quo, banks still serve as local exchange operators. Yeah, it's because they like fucking money too. When are people going to understand this? Everybody likes money. Bankers like money. You know, you like money. I like money. Bankers like money. Politicians like money. Everybody like money. So, oh, wait a minute. Let's see here. This is by Ilker Dellen. It shouldn't be that easy to post fake news. Turkey does not have capital controls and will probably not have any in the near future. The Bitcoin or other cryptocurrency prices are also always more expensive than the average market prices, like the Korean markets. Past 2 weeks were harsh for Turkish lira and financial institutions, but not a cent more was invested or will be invested to cryptocurrencies because of this. As a crypto enthusiast, I advise to research more on crypto/blockchain potential use cases for posting bullish news, other than the teenager behavior of waiting for a traditional market to crash, which might have a possibility of increasing the crypto prices. What you teenagers do not want to understand is that the crypto or crypto markets are not working against or on the opposite directions of the current traditional financial markets. If markets crash, BTC and other crypto will crash with it, including the shitcoins you dream of getting 100x, brah. Yes, that's true. But there are exceptions. See, people want to make money. And in a time of economic crisis in a traditional currency, the usual thing to do is to start looking for other ways to either to store and use your monetary value. Now, if you're looking around on the market and you see that certain cryptocurrencies are retaining their value better than your local lira or whatever other local currency you have, if you have access to markets that will allow you to purchase those, assuming of course you can use them around you or to buy the things that you need, you will just you'll go onto those exchanges and you will buy them. You know, you might be able to use Verge at your local market or something with some proprietors that you're oriented with there that you've already been doing business with or something. And you say to them, hey, you know, we can use this currency, and it's maintaining its value long enough for you to transition in and out of it. You know? Now, as if it's any better with any other currency, right? But, you know, you got to look down the line to when you actually intend to use it. Do you expect that it'll still have the same value that it does today? If not, sell it to something that you think will. Like gold or silver or, you know, something that is an abstraction of value that you have access to markets for. You know, it's like I was talking about this the other day with somebody where I was saying that gold and silver to the vast majority of us is more of a liability than it is an actual investment vehicle. Because in order for somebody in, say, my situation to store enough gold or silver, I would create a bit of a security threat where I am. You know, because I don't have access to huge vaults, and I don't have access to markets that will allow me to liquidate the silver or gold, at least not locally to me, that would allow me to transition into and out of silver very quickly and efficiently. I mean, at least not official markets. And so, you know, if I had a significant volume of silver and I did have a limited private market even for my silver, my business partner and anybody he communicates with would be a potential security threat for me. So that means I either have to spend some of it so I can store it, which seems fucking ridiculous to me, or I can maybe buy a gun and a dog, and then there's the upkeep of the gun and the dog, or security system, or so on. You see what I'm saying when I'm saying that much silver, that much gold, you know, hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars in gold or silver would be a bit of a security threat for me, only because, again, I don't have access to the kind of markets where I would be able to transition it quickly and easily from one medium to another. Bitcoin, on the other hand, and other cryptocurrencies do not have this problem. We have the entire globe as a marketplace. And so us transacting monetary value is just a means of communicating with somebody else and saying, hey, give me your wallet address. You know, we'll make this commerce happen. Here's mine. I mean, when you consider how much friction that cuts out of commerce, it's really difficult to conceptualize. I'll just say that. You know, I think that's one of the problems that a lot of people have with cryptocurrency still is just don't see it as that. You know, and it's a lot of it, I think, is because it's not really billed to them. You know, the last time people that were talking about Bitcoin that had never heard about Bitcoin, the last time that they were really in conversations with people, they were talking about quote-unquote blockchain. They weren't even talking about Bitcoin. They were talking about the product of miners mining Bitcoin, which to me is it makes as much sense as, you know, you got a cow and you've got the shit it creates. And all of these people are focusing on the shit it creates. And they're like, look what we can do with it. We can like burn it for fuel, and we can stew it for methane, and and like they're focusing on the turd, and meanwhile you got this cow here. You could probably milk the thing, and if you really needed to, you could eat it. But the point being that it does have other values other than the shit that it produces. And mostly it's on the work end of things, i.e. the miners. Because they produce the Bitcoin in the mining they produce the blockchain in the process of mining the Bitcoin. No miners, no mining, no Bitcoin, no blockchain. You see how that works? I was talking to somebody earlier about these side chains that Blockstream is planning to corral people into using. And somebody had said that where Blockstream intends to be making their money is on the servicing of these quote-unquote side chains. And I thought about it a moment, and I'm like, well, they're buying about 80 petahashes worth of mining power. So either A, they intend to mine Bitcoin, or B, they could be dedicating that hashing power to side chains that they intend to deploy and maintain for customers. See, I think all that shit, it's just an attempt to take power away from Bitcoin itself. And I think once you divert enough of the power concentration or the value concentration off of mining, that people will just stop doing it. I think that's kind of an unforeseen or unplanned for circumstance. They put so little concentration on miners, and a lot of times they vilify miners. Oh, we got to get control of the network from the miners. I'm like, dude, the miners are the network. Fucking idiots. It's like, oh, we got to get control from the ISPs. That's what you're saying on the internet. That's provided by the ISPs. Oh, we got to disrupt the ISP. Yeah, and then you don't have any fucking internet access. Well, you disrupt the miners and the service that they provide for you, well, you ain't going to have any Bitcoin. And then you ain't going to have no blockchain either. So, yeah, that's all that business. I think that this concentration of trying to do work on top of the miners and trying to concentrate away from the value proposition of Bitcoin, why do people participate in Bitcoin? Because they can make profit by selling the coins that they mine. If they cannot make profit selling the coins that they mine, they're going to stop mining because they're going to go broke trying to continue to mine for coins that they cannot recover the cost on. There's a value proposition at play. When it is no longer valuable to somebody to mine, they will stop mining. If they stop mining, then your network suffers a little bit more security lapse than it did before, because it's not as secure as it was before. So the more you try and concentrate on taking away from them, the more you're taking away the incentive to mine, which will cause a cascading effect of loss of interest in Bitcoin. And here's the other thing. If I'm not mining Bitcoin and I don't get Bitcoin, and getting Bitcoin itself is so difficult that I can't fucking do it. It's too expensive. I can't buy it from the people that are mining it, and they've managed to corral it to where I can't mine it because their machines are just so much more superior to mine, and I can't make any money mining. You know what value Bitcoin has to me all of a sudden? Zero. Utility matters. If I can mine Dash, or I can mine Ripple, or I can mine Litecoin, I actually can't mine Ripple, but point being that if I can mine it and acquire it, I will step aside from Bitcoin and mine something else. This isn't simply a matter of Bitcoin's the basis for the crypto economy. No. It's just the basis for the majority of the trading pairs. That's it. The prices that you're most familiar with cryptocurrencies are Bitcoin exchanges for those cryptocurrencies and ones that are other than Bitcoin, right? And so people tend to think that that's the only market for them. But, you can go onto the exchanges and some of them have USD pairs, USDT pairs, Ethereum pairs, Bitcoin Cash pairs, Ethereum Classic pairs, Ripple pairs. Point being that all of these altcoins exist separate from Bitcoin. Bitcoin goes down, it's not that big a deal anymore. Okay, if we were talking about, 2010, 2011, if Bitcoin went down, we were all completely fucked because we didn't have anywhere else to go. That's no longer true. There are plenty of other places to go. There are plenty of other coins with their own individual networks and their own individual miners. And that being said, there will be places to go. There will be places to go to get your monetary value transacted into or converted into a coin or a medium that you can actually use. But yeah, I see a lot of weird little signals, and I'm just going to say it now. We've been through this before as far as all the bloodletting goes on the exchanges. We've been through this shit before. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when we are going to see some more interest here. We've only scratched the surface as far as global knowledge. We've only slightly more scraped the surface with regard to development of business, but there's a great deal more ahead of us. And I know a lot of people like to compare cryptocurrencies to the .com bubble, and there are some similarities. There's this issue with regard to regulation where people think that once regulation gets to a certain point, that they're just going to start kicking people out. And I think that to some extent that's true, but they'll only be kicking people out of currencies that they cannot participate in anymore, where it becomes too expensive, becomes too prohibitive. Chances of getting caught, chances of getting busted, chances of getting feed, fined, in jail go up. People go to other means. And if it becomes too expensive to use any other, that'll just create premiums to use others. Because the value proposition is shifted to where it's more valuable to use those coins that you can't regulate and you can't tax and so on and so forth than the ones you can. It shifts the focus point of not just being able to transact, but also being able to circumvent any other controls. And we are going to see this again and again and again, where a country says, "Oh, we're going to ban Bitcoin use, or we're going to do capital controls, and we're going to stop." No, you're not. No, you're not. You're going to say a bunch of shit. Then we're going to find out that your daughter or your son is like the second largest miner in your town, and you're just going to shut the fuck up about what you're going to do to crypto, because all of a sudden it becomes obvious to you that despite the fact nobody else knows this, except for the rest of the network looking at it, applying regulation to the space would then bring you into certain scrutiny. And as a matter of fact, we had a representative or a senator in the United States federal government admit that he admitted it on his taxes or something. He did some like tax disclosure or some shit like that, and he admitted that he owns Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin, and alts. Okay, let's get serious now. There's 450 people that are his direct peers. I think I'm not as brushed up on or legal structure as I should be. Anyway, point being, he's got peers. And the chances that he is the only one that is participating in cryptocurrencies is zero. Zero. I guarantee you that in their little break rooms or whatever, they're talking about the prices of altcoins. They're like, dude, did you invest in the... Yeah, I invested... Oh my God, I lost so much money on that. Those conversations are going on in their little break rooms. They're probably going on in fucking Congress. Guy's looking at his goddamn tablet going, oh my God, I'm losing my fucking ass right now. And everybody's like, oh, dude, are you okay? But that's the cycle that we go through every single time when these guys talk about regulation. They end up finding out that, oh, wait a minute, I'm going to be indicating a bunch of funds or having to report a bunch of funds that I'd really not but I would rather nobody else know about it. So I want to avoid that. So no, we're not going to have those reporting requirements. You know, we're going to come to a point where they're either A, going to stop trying, or B, they are going to keep trying, and then we're going to see a public pushback saying, let's see your funds, motherfucker. Let's see your books. Let's see you report cleanly. And when we can technically indicate that they are lying, because all of the tools that are being used to monitor us are also monitoring them. Whether or not they're actually reporting it to the public is another story. But that information will get leaked. We'll find out how corrupt everything is. And then they'll shut the fuck up again about trying to regulate you. Personally, I don't think it's ever going to get to that point. I think they're going to wave their hands, and they're going to vacillate, and they're going to tax and regulate some on-ramps, and they're going to take some closer look on how to do that. But that's about as far as it's going to go. There's not going to be any legislation saying you can't make wallets and shit like that, because those are tools that they want to be able to use too. And besides, enforcing them will be way too prohibitively expensive to even bother. Because we're not just talking about events that happen within the United States. We're talking about potentially 7 billion people out there, or at least 2 billion that have access to the internet, that might have some sort of desire to code for Bitcoin. And heck, if there was enough of a price incentive to do so, they might even do so in such a way that all of the capital controls in the world, all the internet controls in the world, can't stop you from transacting with it, kind of like the original QT wallets. And again, the idea of even bothering to try and enforce your will on other people just goes away, because again, you're going to be running into your own self. Well, it's like, fuck, if I make that illegal, then I won't be able to use that for illegal campaign contributions. And then my competitors who are taking illegal campaign contributions via cryptocurrencies are going to kick my fucking ass and eat my lunch and get my seat. I don't want that to happen. Hey man, you want to make it all about money? We've made it all about money. The difference now is that it's not just one source of money, it's all of us. Let's go ahead and throw back down into some music. I want some Tool, Schism, here on Coin Metal. And that was Prong. Whoa. Whoa. Fucking. I hate pop-ups. I hate them. Anyway, yeah, that was Prong with Rulers of the Collective. Yeah, that was off of 0 Days. That was the last album that he put out as Prong. He's currently on tour with Danzig, and from what I understand, that's been kind of been a semi-permanent position for him over the last several albums that Glenn has done, as well as tours that he not only does help with the writing, I think only because I often hear some of the stuff like little bits that are kind of Danzig flavored riffs, you know? Because like when you listen to Danzig's music, it's distinctly Danzig. It's like hearing AC/DC or Aerosmith, or you know, it's very, very much Glenn Danzig. You understand that's who that is when you're hearing it. Anyway, but yeah, so Tommy's been with Glenn on and off with the Danzig project, and from what I understand, he was also involved in the last Misfits get together that there was, which I thought was fucking awesome. I didn't have an opportunity to go and see it, but I'm pretty sure that he did participate in that. I'm not 100%, but yeah. So he's been really helping Glenn out quite a bit with regard to his projects, and you know, I think it's just the two probably work very well together. I mean, I would imagine that Glenn is probably particular about some stuff, and so to be able to find people to be able to work with, that's what every artist wants, is somebody that can help them execute their vision. Anyway, I wanted to get a little bit deeper into this Lyra thing before we go anywhere else. And this is the Bloomberg article that the last article we talked about was referring to. And so here we go. This is by Firat Kozak. And let's check and verify what we can find out about Firat. These are all the articles he's read. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. No indication of penis. So, yeah, I'm not going to make any assumptions here. This is authored on August 12, 2018 at 6:54 a.m. PDT. Thank you very much, Firat, whether you be male or female. Even in recap, Tayyip Erdogan's Turkey, patriotism has its limits. As economists speculate on the policymakers' range of options in the face of a market meltdown, Turks are throwing in the towel on their national currency. President Erdogan's repeated calls for citizens to convert their considerable foreign exchange deposits to support the lira are falling on deaf ears. Anyone who obeyed those pleas in the past lost money. And at the heart of Istanbul's merchant capital, in the world's oldest covered market, there are signs it's starting to damage his credibility and chipping into his support. Quote, I have respect for our president, but I can't sell my gold and foreign currency just because he made that call, said Seven Timur, a 58-year-old retiree. Quote, I've cut down on food for those savings. For a leader who prides himself on having made Turks more prosperous during his 15 years in power, the failure to back his lira demands with any policy action comes as a surprise and a betrayal. Since Erdogan first began making the call in mid-December of 2016, the lira has been the world's worst currency, losing about half of its value against the dollar and euro. On Friday alone, the currency depreciated by another 14%. Quote, I've lost about 1 million liras, says 48-year-old jeweler Kahit Boss, referring to a figure that's worth about $155,000 now, but $340,000 in mid-2016. I think we're heading for a crisis even worse than the previous one. Yeah, you've been floating around on fucking credit cards since then, dude. Boss noted that you wouldn't notice any signs of trouble if you were following the mostly government-controlled media, but said Turks were feeling it. 2 merchants at the bazaar committed suicide in the past week alone, he said. I'm so regretful I didn't buy dollars. I feel like a fool, said Belant Ukaran, a 36-year-old shopkeeper. Quote, "When we have so many experienced people leaving the entire economy to the son-in-law created insecurity," he added, referring to Erdogan's decision to name his daughter's 40-year-old husband, Berat Albayrak, minister of a newly combined Treasury and Finance Ministry on July 9th. The appointment also unnerved international investors who were used to dealing with steady hands on the economy, even as Erdogan's personal pronouncements became increasingly unpredictable and further outside the mainstream. And they didn't give Albayrak much of a chance. Turkish bank shares dropped almost 20% in the week after his appointment, and the lira 5%. U.S. spat. Then a row with America made things even worse, ultimately triggering a currency plunge that risks turning into a full-blown financial crisis, according to investors. Turkey's refusal to release American citizens and diplomatic employees imprisoned in the aftermath of a coup attempt against Erdogan in 2016, including Pastor Andrew Brunson, led the U.S. to begin imposing sanctions earlier this month. More are likely to come if Turkey keeps him in jail. Dude. Whatever. Quote, "The economy was so bad anyway, then came the priest," said Boss, the jeweler. "They should give up the priest immediately. They should have put him on a plane with the last delegation to the U.S. and said, 'Here, take him.'" His colleague Abdis Akbulat had similar sentiments about Erdogan's managing of foreign affairs. Read here for more on Erdogan's defiance as crisis grows. We're not going to go into that. Turkey's a very big country, but we can't fight with everyone in the international arena, he said. You can't go out and fight one day with America and the next day with Germany. Every outburst by Erdogan explodes on us. Basak Cenk, 36, said she was trying to deal with the turmoil by pulling all of her money out of the bank. We couldn't get any foreign currency out yesterday. We wanted to take out $50,000, but they directly said no, she said. We couldn't carry out an ETF either, she said, referring to electronic funds transfer. But not everyone placed the blame on the government. Okan Aksut, 28, walked into the bazaar with a bag full of gold he was looking to exchange, both to take advantage of what he thought was a selling opportunity and in response to Erdogan's call. Quote, "If the lira goes to 10, it doesn't matter," he said. It was traded at $6.43 to the dollar on Friday. Turning east. Osman Satuna, who sells items like rugs and cloth bags to tourists, said it was time for a wholesale revamp of Turkey's foreign policy that would divorce it from the West, in line with the camp of pro-government policy wonks who see its future as a leader in the Islamic world rather than an aspiring member of the European Union. Turkey should hold a referendum on leaving NATO, he said. Quote, "Doing business with the U.S. is like sleeping with a python. You don't know when you're going to get bit." Sutuna was interrupted by an eavesdropper from across the way. Quote, "So we all deserve this, and from now on I'm going to vote for Erdogan. I'm going to sell everything I have to support him," the person yelled sarcastically, declining to give his name out of fear of possible retribution. Quote, "Since you all want a caliphate, bring it on, and let's just all relax about it." Pfft. Yeah. Okay. So, if you're having that kind of economic crisis, it's kind of obvious that not everybody's on board with your plan. I think that's a part of money that I think a lot of people don't get, or it's just not stressed, is that people understand that money is kind of a show of support of policy. I think in the United States, we're, for the most part, there are exceptions to this, I'm sure. For the most part, we're all locked into the U.S. dollar because it's the global reserve currency and all that other bullshit. And sure, Turkey's using the U.S. dollar, or Turkish people are using the U.S. dollar as a hedge within their own government. I mean, really, gotta wonder what that says about their economy on the side of the finance ministers. But giving it to your son-in-law, I think that's kind of a stupid move too. And it's like saying, yes, I'm going to keep the economy under my thumb, and just to make sure, I'm going to put this guy who I have absolute control over in this position. Best of luck, enjoy. So yeah, this is one of those things. And we've seen it in Bitcoin. When there have been policy changes in Bitcoin and whatnot that a lot of people don't like, they just don't adopt them. And more importantly, when they find that there's no alternative within the one option, they go to another option. It's like with regard to Ethereum and the Ethereum Classic split over the DAO. It was like the people that made Ethereum Classic said, look, bro, we signed up, code was law, and now you're trying to break the law. So no, we're gonna eat the turd. We're going to own the error because it was made with us participating, and we're going to fork. And they took a significant chunk of Ethereum's hash power with them. I am often amazed at how little concentration went on that. I think it was like 60% of their network just up and bailed. Said, no, we're not gonna support you if you're not gonna own your mistakes and take responsibility for them. People entrust their money with you. They trust you to be responsible with it. And that includes taking responsibility for mistakes and trying to make sure not to do them again in the future. Anyway, so yeah, that's what we're seeing going on in Turkey right now, is that people are looking at their currency and looking at the chart, it doesn't actually look all that bad. I mean, it's got a little bit of a dip right now, but or at least on this ugly weak chart. But yeah, it looks like there was a little bit of spike there, a little bit of opportunity to make some profit, and it looks like some people did take profit on that too. Oh. So yeah, like trading anything else, there are winners and losers. And right now it seems like a lot of people in Turkey are losing to benefit the winners. Anyway, let us continue on. And so I got some other stuff I wanted to get into today. That was some kind of important stuff, I think, because again, it was in line with what we were talking about originally. Oh, let's see, where it was. I think we did that one too. We talked about Iran stepping up their plan for national crypto last Friday, and that episode is up on my YouTube channel if you missed it. But yeah, that's another one of those boondoggles that I don't see it being a resolution to anything. I think that ultimately the people will evaluate the currency on its strengths, and if it's better than other options, they'll use it. But if the restrictions and taxation on it are just as bad, if not worse, than their current options, they're either going to stick with their current options, or they're going to go to something else. And they do have that option now. Don't fool yourself. Every day that Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies stay live is one more day that they're proving that it can be done. Regardless of what the articles say about what's going on, what's really important is what is actually happening out there. The support that people are putting behind currencies, how much mining they're doing, all of those are far more important than anything we see in these articles. Anyway, this is something that's been buzzing around on my Twitter feed, and I'd be kind of remiss if I didn't cover it because it is kind of important stuff. This one's on BusinessInsider.com. The world's largest maker of Bitcoin mining chips is reportedly hoping to raise $18 billion in what could be one of the largest IPOs in history. Let's see where this takes us. I'm not going to read the bullet points. The world's largest producer of cryptocurrency mining chips, Bitmain, is planning to file for an initial public offering in September, according to documents obtained by CoinDesk. And we're going to right-click on that, though. According to the documents, CoinDesk reports Bitmain's proposed public offering could end up being the largest in history. The company reportedly hopes to raise $18 billion IPO on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange at a market capitalization of $40 to $50 billion. While Bitmain's primary industry has been producing integrated circuit chips used to algorithmically, quote, mine cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, the company recently began to manufacture chip hardware for the artificial intelligence industry. Bitmain is headed up by 32-year-old Jihan Wu, who founded the Beijing-based company only 5 years ago with the vision that digital currencies would be the de facto money of the future. I believe it. In June, Bloomberg reported that Wu was considering taking his company public and that Wu plans to position Bitmain as a ruthless competitor in the circuit chip industry. So far, Wu's pursuit has proved overwhelmingly successful. In the few short years since it was founded, Bitmain has become one of the world's most valuable cryptocurrency companies. In the past 6 months of 2018 alone, the company raked in $2.5 billion in revenue, according to Bloomberg. The company has received $450 million in funding from investors, including Sequoia, GIC, and IDG Capital. Bitmain did not immediately respond to a request for comment on any IPO plans. So yeah, that's been lurking around on my Twitter feed. And let's follow it up with this one on CoinDesk. Crypto unicorn Bitmain weighs $18 billion IPO, one of the world's largest. Bitmain Technologies Ltd. is about... Oh, this is by Ada Hugh. So no penis. Wait a minute, let me check something really quick here. I don't think penis. Maybe. Looks like a kid with a mustache. Maybe penis. We're not entirely certain. Not going to make any assertion there. This is authored August 10th, 2018 at 5 UTC. Bitmain Technologies Ltd. is about to go public. According to documents obtained by CoinDesk, the cryptocurrency mining company is filing for an initial public offering potentially as high as $18 billion this September at a market capitalization of $40 to $50 billion. It will be underwritten by ABC Market Management and listed on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange in Q4 2018 or Q1 2019 amid a wave of Chinese unicorns hitting the public markets, including Bitcoin mining competitors Canaan Creative and eBank Communication. Let's see if we can find the actual stuff. Looking for the actual documents itself referring to it. International mining operations, 30 blockchain companies, 40 blockchain research, blah, blah, blah. Circle. Oh, fuck it. We'll just read the whole article because it looks like a decent sized article. Now, a possible 18... let's see, I didn't actually read them. One of the most valuable cryptocurrency companies, Bitmain, closed at $100 million pre-IPO financing round led by China International Capital Corporation on July 23rd at $15 billion valuation, nearly 2 times cryptocurrency exchange Coinbase's $8 billion valuation reported in April. Now a possible $18 billion sticker price positions Bitmain to displace social media giant Facebook as one of the largest public offerings in history. SoftBank Group and Tencent Music are expected to top Alibaba and Spotify for the number 1 and 2 IPOs of all time in the same fiscal period. Tencent Holdings Ltd, SoftBank Group, China National Gold Group, and an unnamed sovereign wealth fund managing $15 billion in assets participated in the pre-IPO round. A minimum commitment of $5 million was deadlined by July 18th and signed over by Bitmain Technologies Holding Company, the offshore Cayman Islands investment holding group that has been linked to Chinese technology billionaire Li Jun, founder of consumer electronics company Xiaomi Inc. Before this latest funding, Sequoia Capital China had led Bitmain's $50 million Series A round and $400 million Series B rounds, with the help of San Francisco's IDG Capital, Menlo Park's Kyoto Management, Russia's DST Global, and Singapore's EDBI and GIC. The Series A round accounted for 5% of shares at a post-mortem valuation of $1 billion, and the Series B round valued the company at $12 billion. Both rounds were closed in the first and second halves of 2017. Projected share price and volume are not disclosed, but the investment banks close to the IPO are calculating the PE ratio to be 20 within the first publicly traded year. Holy shit. Financial numbers supporting this multiple indicate that Bitmain profited $2.3 billion in total across 2016, 2017, and 2018, with revenues of $2.5 billion in 2017 and $2 billion in Q1 of 2018. Bitmain is forecasting $2 billion in profit by year's end. A diversified crypto strategy. 5 years ago, Jihan Wu approached McCreezon with the purpose of engineering advanced application-specific integrated circuit chips to mine Bitcoin more effectively or efficiently. That work established Bitmain, the leading market player in the cryptocurrency mining industry. Operations have since expanded to the alternative cryptocurrencies Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, Dash, Coin, and Ethereum. With the IPO, the co-founders' combined holdings could amount to roughly $30 billion, assuming they have retained 60% of the company together, per a January 2018 Bloomberg interview. An investor prospectus for the IPO proves exactly how significant Bitmain's mining business has been. Last year, Bitmain's machines accounted for 66.6% of the total mining volume, and Bitmain-run cryptocurrency mining pools covered 40% of the total mining network. When the prospectus was drafted, BTC.com, the largest mining pool in the world, counted over 560,000 machines that mined approximately 11,200 out of the 36,000 total Bitcoin blocks. The second largest mining pool, AntPool, served more than 440,000 machines for Bitcoin and alternative cryptocurrencies. In addition to income generated by hardware costs and pool transaction fees, Bitmain oversees its own international mining operation and has made $100 million, $1.1 billion, and $1 billion off of its 2016, 2017, and 2018 Q1 cryptocurrency holdings, respectively, revealed to the public for the first time here. And that's not an actual live link for some reason. Some of the funds have been set aside to back up the 30 blockchain companies for a blockchain research division, which shouldered blockchain data analytics service Blocktrail as early as 2016. Outside investments are said to represent a broader effort to turn Bitmain into a digital currency infrastructure conglomerate, and this has appeared to be increasingly true in recent months. Since May, Bitmain has invested in cryptocurrency point-of-sale system BizKey, incubated decentralized exchange DX.top, financed cryptocurrency payment system Circle, added an Ethereum extension to the Opera web browser, bankrolled blockchain developer Block.one, and partnered with Hawaii Mobile Services on a mobile cryptocurrency application. Bitmain is also using these technologies to build a wallet, exchange, and trading platform that will facilitate the Bitcoin Cash ecosystem, a spin-off of the original Bitcoin cryptocurrency that is seen as a likely breadwinner. The investor prospectus says Bitmain is, quote, strategically developing Bitcoin Cash by mining, investing, and trading the coin and its peripheral technologies for the purpose of realizing substantial returns down the line. The day before yesterday, Bitmain disclosed an investment in TribeOS, a Bitcoin Cash advertising network. Computing the chips. In 2013, the Bitmain graphics chip progenitor BM1380 utilized the 55 nanometer process, a mode of circuit dimensionality considered to be the most cutting edge of the time. The company then shuffled through the 28 nanometer BM1382, BM1384, and BM1385 chips from 2014 to 2015 before advancing to the 16 nanometer BM1387 chip in 2016 to keep up with the competition. Today, the older generation of chip makers has been struggling to play catch-up. Bitmain has surpassed Spreadtrum Communications, a 17-year-old company, as the second largest integrated circuit design maker in China, according to the investor prospectus. Hawaii HiSilicon the Chinese chip industry's frontrunner is slipping as well. As of December in 2017, Bitmain matched Hawaii's HiSilicon in 16nm chip sales, while Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company Ltd., the world's largest semiconductor company to consumer goods vendors like Apple Inc., supplied a greater quantity of 10nm chips for Bitmain than Kirin 970 chip equivalent for Hawaii HiSilicon. The unreleased 10nm chip now joins a new class of 7nm and 12nm chips that Bitmain will roll out later this year. 7nm, holy fuck! In half a decade, Bitmain has captured 8% of the domestic chip design market, where Hawaii HiSilicon has taken 14 years to achieve 17%. At this rate, Bitmain could near or overcome Hawaii HiSilicon's local stronghold very soon, and, as the investor prospectus suggests, go head-to-head with the U.S. chip industry. Holy shit! The Chinese market is already nudging out the American market within the worldwide chip economy, although Intel continues to lead the pack. Silicon Valley has felt the pressure. It was reported back in February that Bitmain was as profitable as 24-year-old Nvidia, which had its stock price target lowered along with AMD's in April. Analysts pointed to a likely drop-off in Nvidia and AMD chip orders due to an upcoming Bitmain Ethereum mining rig. They feared cryptocurrency miners would be less inclined to purchase from Nvidia and AMD because Bitmain would outperform them at a lower cost. Ethereum had been the last major cryptocurrency to be untouched by the Chinese company's ASICs. Aiming at AI. Still, U.S. chipmakers have not been worried. AMD, 32 years Nvidia's senior, has assured investors that personal computers, gaming, and data centers will sustain the business with or without cryptocurrencies. But the logic applies both ways. When almost every electronic device imaginable is powered by a graphics chip, making ends meet outside of cryptocurrencies is an opportunity for Bitmain as well, and the geopolitical incentive in China is stronger than ever. Bitcoin seems to be entirely aware of this fact. The investor prospectus outlines ambitions to enter into other technology fields, in part to, quote, cope with the Chinese government's ban on ICOs, cryptocurrencies, and mining activities, and in part to grow the company into a supercomputing titan with artificial intelligence. An in-house artificial intelligence arm is predicted to generate 40% of revenue in the next 5 years for this reason. Bitmain is betting that neural network machine learning methods will heighten processing capacity in graphics chips for cryptocurrency and non-cryptocurrency applications alike. As with the BM1680 processor-based tensor computing card, deep learning accelerating card, and intelligent server unit. Bitmain claims testing has even shown that its AI chips have stacked up against the computing power found in Google's corresponding AI products. With a team of nearly 500 people working on R&D, platform architecture, algorithm development, software and hardware development, Bitmain has rapidly drawn on new and existing research from academic institutions and technology companies to pioneer artificial intelligence software and hardware well beyond the scope of cryptocurrency mining tools. Right now, the first move is robotics. The acquisition of smart robotics company Leobetic and the production of the Leo Ziodo robotic pet. Yeah, whatever, dude. Okay, in correction, a previous version of this article displayed incorrect financial numbers for the pre-IPO investment round, 2016 to 2018 profits, and 2016 through 2018 cryptocurrency earnings due to a translation error in the investor documents. The charts and text have been updated to accurately reflect the accounting data. And then another correction. A previous version of this article stated that China International Capital Corporation will be underwriting the IPO. CoinDesk has learned that China International Capital Corporation led the pre-IPO investment round, but the IPO will instead be underwritten by ABC Capital Management. There we go. So, there you have it. Bitmain getting exciting. As far as all of their ambitions, I think the AI one is kind of interesting. With regard to AMD and NVIDIA, AMD rather, they've been making noises about 7nm architectures. And I guess I read some article by Intel about Intel with their latest offerings, and there was some claims in the comments section concerning the nanometer specs that apparently some of Intel's 10nm chips are on par with some 7nm architectures. I think by AMD. I can't remember the specifics on that. But what it leads me to believe is this is something that I talked about a couple months ago, where a lot of these companies, Intel, AMD, they have this big trove, all right, of R&D that they've worked out for the previous 10 years. And this is what guides their roadmap as far as where they're going to be investing capital. And so they have all these little branches of R&D that they could be going down. And that's some of the vision that we're hearing about from this pre-IPO prospectus. Okay, where Bitmain is saying we're going to get into this, we're going to get into that, that's part of the vision. Okay, but like I said, so it used to be that companies like AMD and Intel and Apple, as a matter of fact, when Apple was doing their own architecture design, they were like 10 years ahead. They had this huge vault 10 years ahead of anything that they had out on the market. Okay, and I know this because I was very deep into Apple at one time, and back in the earlier days of the internet, I won't say the early days because those are like the late 70s, early 80s and shit. But the earlier days, meaning like the late 90s, I think it was like 96 or 97. I was rooting around online using a browser and whatnot, and I was digging around for Apple stuff because I was really interested in where Apple was intending to go, and there was all kinds of questions about whether or not they were going to be retaining jobs, and there was all kinds of conflict upstairs and all that other bullshit. Anyway, so some stuff started leaking out because they were going through these fits where Jobs would go through an area and say, all right, you guys are fucking incompetent, you're all fired. Well, in the process of doing that, he created a lot of bad blood, and so all kinds of secrets of Apple were getting leaked. And one of the things that leaked out was design specifications for PPC-based desktops, PowerPC-based desktops, that reached into the 1.8 gigahertz realm. Now, mind you, the desktop that I was doing that on that I was doing all this web searching on, its processor was 166 megahertz, not gigahertz, megahertz. And so these were PowerPCs that they had prototypes of, meaning functioning prototypes, in their little vault that spanned, it was 500 megahertz, 800 megahertz, 1 gigahertz, and then 1.8 gigahertz was the highest. And like I said, this is before they transitioned into the G-Class, the G-Class PPC. They were just calling them PowerPC Plus or something like that at the time. And so, that gives us a context for how these companies plan as far as their hardware releases and so on and so forth. So I've been positing over the last year or so that cryptocurrency mining has driven the competition in the silicon space, with regard to chips, the chip development space, so hard over the last 3 years that Intel, AMD, Nvidia, Samsung, all of these guys have been digging deep into that trove and releasing shit way ahead of schedule just to try and get that much higher, a bit of advantage over everybody else. Okay, where they've got architectural designs that, they didn't plan to release for another 5 years, that they're like, okay, let's go ahead and cut the dies for this now, or get the layers set for these, the photolithographic layers. Let's go ahead and get these mapped and get them production ready, because we're going to be releasing these in 6 months. And so we gotta fire it up now. I'm telling you, that's what's been going on for the last 2 or 3 years. Okay, where we're seeing chips that are supposedly quote unquote current, right? That are at 28 nanometers, whereas we've got stuff that's planning to come out that's at 7 nanometers. And so it's like, as a consumer, you're like, dude, am I gonna bother to invest in this 24 nanometer architecture when there's a chance within the next 3 to 6 months I'm going to see 7 nanometer miners that are going to kick my ass? And so it's like I said, we've been seeing this where, as soon as a company can get a chip set, get the dies set to be, getting them ready to mine, getting them ready to just make the chips, as soon as they've got their maps set for their architecture, somebody else is doing the same thing for something that's 3 months to 6 months ahead of it. And that's what's happening with all of these companies. And I expect this same thing to be going on at least for the next 2 years. That we are going to keep seeing this, where I think we might hit a little bit of an ebb and flow at 7 nanometers, where whoever is doing the best 7 nanometer architectures over the next year is going to be setting the pace for the next 2 years, because they are that much ahead of everybody else. And I think the well has been going pretty dry for these companies. Where Intel's looking at that vault and they've got maybe 2, maybe 3 years ahead of the market as far as their R&D, and they're like, dude, we need to do something about this, because we're not seeing those same early 2000 profits, and we're seeing some declines in some of our market share, and so we need to be looking ahead to reinvesting in our R&D, because otherwise all of these fuckers are going to be eating our lunch over the next 2 years. And we may have a real dominant position right now, but that is fleeting, my friends. Fleeting. Yeah, lots of shakeup in the old silicon sphere. There's that point where the rubber meets the road, and that's when the cash leaves your hands and goes to Intel, Samsung, any of these guys, and the supply chain from that point down. That's where the rubber meets the road, is where you shell out the cash for actual product. Let's go ahead and throw it back down into some music. And as far as what to play, Do Not Look Down, Meshuggah, here on Coin Metal. And that was Gizmachi with Burn. Yeah, a lot of people feeling that burn. You know, all you can do is survive, man. All you can do is survive. And we are coming up to the close of this particular episode, but I'm not entirely finished yet. I got one little article here that I want to talk about because I think it's fucking hilarious, and it's a trend that I expect to continue, if not get worse. Where is it? Here it is. This one's on BitcoinWarrior.net, and no attribution, so let's just go with it. Cryptocurrency mining becoming popular on university campuses brings with it energy and security concerns. This is written on August 14th, 2018. So we're getting it from a time traveler. Excellent. Cryptocurrency mining has become an exciting and enticing proposition for many people. While the enterprise affords many opportunities to acquire valuable virtual currencies, the process also brings with it some unpleasant consequences. The growing popularity of mining has led to it popping up in some unlikely places like business offices and college dorms. Actually, it's always been in college dorms. It's just you're paying attention to it now. Cryptocurrency mining becoming popular in dorm rooms and offices. Cryptocurrency mining has seeped into colleges and businesses. Vectra, a cybersecurity company, carried out a study of mining on 11 college campuses. It found instances of mining at every school and evidence that students were regularly setting up mining operations on campuses. One example is Patrick Kynes, a Penn State graduate who turned his dorm room into a makeshift Bitcoin mining operation. Kynes, in his freshman year at Penn State, had a cryptocurrency miner in his dorm room. Though it was generating lots of heat, he described the mining process as a, quote, passive income. According to Kynes, dorm mining has made him approximately $10,000 and helped shape him and his career. Businesses too are involved in digital currency mining, as office employees have divided their work system to accommodate office work and mining operations. Mike Bannock of Vectra says, quote, cryptocurrency is up 4.5 to 5 times, and it's across every place. 40% of those locations are enterprise businesses. There are probably employees who, as you walk up to them at their desk, they switch what they're doing because maybe what they're doing was actually mining Bitcoin. However, as potentially lucrative as mining is, it is also susceptible to malware and hackers. The risk associated with cryptocurrency mining software is quite high. These activities can endanger school systems and business by leaving them open to hackers and malware. Yeah, whatever. Cryptocurrency mining is energy intensive. Other problems presented by cryptocurrency mining include extreme energy costs and heat production, and colleges are beginning to feel the consequences. Mike Bannock, Vice President of Marketing at Vectra, speaking on the rate at which mining can cost universities, said, quote, I think there are a lot of universities that don't know this is happening. I don't think that they would want it to happen either, considering it costs $4,700 to mine one Bitcoin. That's about 10% of the annual tuition at a private university. Some colleges at like Worcester Polytechnic Institute are aware of the energy crypto mining consumes and has a policy in place. Vice President for Information and Technology and Chief Information Officer at WPI stated the college's policy stating, quote, "We have an acceptable usage policy which all students and employees have to view and agree to, and in the policy it says that you can't use the institutional resources for personal gain or for a cryptocurrency." Yeah, good fucking luck with that, dude. Yeah, considering that the amount of debt that college students incur by being in college, I would be really, really surprised if like 20, maybe even 30% of all cryptocurrency mining is happening on dorms. I would be really surprised if it weren't that high. And going higher. So yeah, I'm expecting a different kind of tack. Within the next 6 months, we are going to see that the miners on these university campuses, having to get savvy about what they're doing because of clampdowns and whatnot, are actually going to start going to their school administrators. They are going to group together and they're going to go to their school administrators and say, look, we can set this up to where it's making you money too, but you have to set aside some room and you have to dedicate some money to hardware and whatnot. But we will set up for you an infrastructure whereby students can be gaining experience at this, because this is fucking tomorrow, motherfucker, and you're supposed to be preparing us for tomorrow, so you best get the fuck on board or we're just not going to be coming to you at all. You have to present this as a means for us to be launching ourselves into the future, because it's already here, and denying any kind of access to it now, and especially the type of place this is it's against your interests, against my interests, against pretty much everybody's interests. And it is with that I'd like to close out this episode. Thank you very, very much for listening. I certainly do appreciate the support. We will be back again on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And so until then, I'd like y'all to trade safe, do your homework, and watch out for your own bunghole, because nobody is going to do it for you. Thank you again for listening, and as far as a last dance for the evening, I have not picked anything out, as usual. It's just the way I roll, man. And as far as what to play, Loco. No, that's too long. No, gotta go a little deeper. Oh, we haven't played any body count tonight? Pfft, that's a fucking travesty. This is it, because we're all waiting for it. The Ski Mask Way, here on Coin Metal Last Dance. Thank you again for listening. You can find me on Twitter, also on the Telegram for Verge Currency, also in the Discord for the same. Thank you again for listening, and y'all have an excellent evening.